I love people. I love my people a lot. And there are a number of people in this room that we spent 10 years with, right, at this previous company. And it was always interesting for me. My experience was different than most, okay? So if you've done StrengthsFinder, my top are pretty much all influencing and relationship, okay? And so in the previous model, you made 35% on your sales, which is like super high, best in the industry, blah, right? But if people joined as an advocate, then they got 35% off their products. And then you made 5% or 2% or 1% or 0.5% or 0% on them. And I am fun and dynamic and I have relationships with people and everyone wants to join my team. So like 80% of my customers joined and I made not a lot of money. And I never earned incentive trips and all these people promoted. And what happened for me was I love working with people and I love helping them develop. And so I started to have all of these high-level leaders on my team. And every time somebody would promote to a certain level, I would lose that part of my team in my compensation. And in the end, after 10 years, I was being paid less than 10% of my downline, okay? I was making between $1,000 and $1,500 a month. And I was working hard. And I was homeschooling my kids. And I loved the company, I loved the people, and I loved our people, right? When Lindsay called me that January, I was not looking to leave. I wasn't unhappy. I didn't think that there was anything different. And I love my people, right? So I wasn't necessarily unhappy, and I didn't think there was anything else out there. Like it fit our family. That extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month, we needed it, right? And Lindsay called me one day and she goes, "Do you remember Amy Fulmer?" I was like, everybody knows Amy Fulmer, right? She sang at our things and she was always so happy. And it was just hilarious. Like there's those names of people you meet in your life, right? And they don't even know you. And you're like, of course I know who they are. And she said, "Okay, you're gonna be surprised." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "I've been talking to Amy. I talked to her about doTERRA a little bit and I was very surprised. I didn't even know that she was considering looking somewhere else." And she kind of wasn't, but she was like, "I did this call and I need your brain. I'm like the financial strategy, like money brain." She didn't even know half the time what she was making at the previous company. So she's like, "I need you to hear this because it sounds really good, but I need you to, like, is this real?" Which, how many of you guys have thought, is this real?
Right.
Yes.
Right? And so I was like, all right, I like Amy, she's fun. Bring it on. It'll be interesting to see how somebody else does this, right? So we get on this call and she's showing me the bill guide and she's talking about customer retention and loyalty orders and the fact that doTERRA provides free products when people order every month and the customer retention rate. And I'm thinking, I have to give my customers sales. And the people that do buy from me, I have to give half my commission away to give them a discount so they buy from me. Like, what was I actually making? Not what I should have been. And doTERRA provides all this. Like, it was crazy. But you know, it's like when you're buying a car, right? You don't like show them you're getting excited. It's like, okay, Amy, okay. What about this? What about this? What about this, right? And so we're talking, okay, well, great. Well, have a blessed day, you know, whatever. We like get off the call. And I did say to Lindsay, what have we been doing for the last 10 years? And in 1 hour, I was like, the possibilities and being able to work relationally with people and be compensated well, and like not just 4 people are making the top amounts of money. And because they were first and nobody else can do it. Like that was our previous company, right? And if you weren't there at the beginning, you could never make what the Goddards make. They were here right first. Nobody else can do that, but here you can. Like, the possibilities in 1 hour. I was like, I'm done, I'm out. Like, I'm ready for doTERRA. Lindsay's like, we should look at other companies. I was like, okay. Nothing will be as good. You know, it's kind of like, if you're a believer, I always tell my kids, I'm not afraid of questions, right? Ask questions, because if you are seeking the truth with a capital T, it will always point back to God. Ask questions, right? Same thing. Not that doTERRA's God, trust me, I'm not saying that, but it's kind of the same type of thing. Like, I saw what it was. And so I was like, Lindsay, you could go to other companies. I know that doTERRA is going to be the best. There's nothing like this, right? So I was a believer like from the start. And we ended up leaving, and it was hard. It was harder, I think, than any of us thought. The relationships we built, some stayed really strong, and some like went away, and that we had to grieve that. Like it was really refining. But gosh, we were blessed, and it was just amazing, right? So I really felt finally like I was able to be in my strengths. I got to work one-on-one with my partners. Like 2 people that are in this room were with me from the beginning, and I love them so much. Within like 2 months, I earned the trip, which I never earned a trip in 10 years in the last company. And it was just like so fulfilling and fun, and I was in my strengths and loved it. And you know, things happen, right? We leave space for people. Summer happens, people travel, people start taking care of their moms at home, right? Things happen and we can meet them where they are. And that's a blessing of this business. You know, we learned a lot. We still are learning a lot. I brought on a 4th partner that fall, right? So I had 4, and I was so blessed and so excited and just saw the vision, right? I hit gold in, I think, 5 months, and I was gonna hit platinum in 10. And I knew it, I was gonna do it. That fall, my husband, who is very active, works out every day. We eat organic food. He has for 20 years. Supplements, no toxins in our house, all of it. Just started having some health issues. And he would get out of breath when he climbs the stairs. And we're not at 9,000 feet, we're at like 5, okay? Because we live in Florida. So it was weird, but it was Advent, and he's a pastor. So he kept going. He's a tough guy, we toughed it up. And, you know, he kind of mentioned it, but you plug through, right? Especially if you're busy and you are in an important season. And we were getting ready to go on the cruise. And we were checked in and we were ready to go, and it was so exciting because we finally got to go on a trip. And I just had this something in my gut saying, what if we're in Jamaica climbing a mountain and he has a heart attack? Like, I don't want to go to Jamaica and have him have a heart attack. That would be terrible. You should get a checkup. And sidebar, we hardly go to the doctor because, you know, we just don't. So he went in for a checkup, and they thought there might be something wrong with his heart. And so we just wanted to make sure it was okay. We got checked in for the cruise. We were less than a week out from the cruise, and they wanted to do a heart cath just to make sure things were fine. And so we went in for a heart cath, and we thought the doctor had run all the blood work, his initial doctor. And I didn't know this at the time, but when Mason was in the heart cath, the doctor said to him, do you know you're anemic? And his mom died of leukemia. And he said, I knew immediately that I had leukemia. And the doctor would let us leave. He said, we have to transfer you immediately to the hospital. And I was just thinking, I don't want him to have a heart attack, right? Like, I'm thinking it's a heart thing. And he didn't tell me what he was worried about. And he said, his hemoglobin, if anybody knows anything about this, was a 5. And the doctor said, I actually don't know anybody that's like alive and working out. He was still working out, preaching, everything that has been a 5. And so my worry, this is so dumb, sorry if this is offensive, but I was like, I don't want, if there's somebody needs to do a blood transfusion, I want it to be me because I don't want him to get COVID vaccine blood. That's what I was worried about. Can I give him my blood? I had no idea what we would be dealing with. And they admitted him, he needed blood transfusions, lots of them. And the next day I walked in, and on the board it said oncology. And I didn't know. And we found out that he had very, very advanced acute myelogenous leukemia, which is not survivable. And probably within a week, if he hadn't gone in, he would have been dead. And we wouldn't have known because he had no blood. You know, and so that stopped our world. It stopped everything. And we couldn't focus on anything else. It was just getting better. You know, and it's a long process. If any of you guys know anything about this, you know, we tried to go natural at first because we were naive. We're like, we'll just go to Hope for Cancer in Mexico, which is amazing, and always look into it. They were wonderful there. And they said, we cannot help you yet. You have to, if you want to live, you need to go back to the United States, and you need to do chemo, and you need to get a bone marrow transplant. That is the only way you will live. And so we did. He did that, and it was all his choice, you know, but it's really hard when you have 3 kids at home that are being homeschooled. I have a daughter who's turning 15 on Monday. I have a daughter who's 13 and a half, and a son who's turning 12 next month. And it's been really hard, right? And I have these people that count on me, you know, and they lifted me up during that time. I couldn't do anything. I could barely focus on my family. And during this time, I would talk one-on-one with my partners, you know, because we are in a relationship together, but in general, I couldn't do anything else except for be there for my family, right? And the most I ever made in the previous company was $36,000 a year. Last year, I know, Sherry, isn't that crazy? It's ridiculous, actually, now.
Consulting, yes.
Because I had all the levels, right? Thousands of consultants. And last year, I kind of started back a little bit. Like, I would tell people the products. I actually gave a lot away because when you're in the cancer world, you just want to give it away, man. You want to help people. Frankincense, digescent, peppermint, lavender, all adaptive. So I just was given products and knew that I could come back to it, right? And when I added up, because I'm a numbers person, I have a spreadsheet. Andy. I have a spreadsheet with my months, and I went back and I had to ask Ruby because I hadn't been doing it. Guys, our family earned $60,000 last year with doTERRA. That's life-changing money for us. My husband's a pastor. We had a lot of expenses, right? But we had built a pipeline. You guys heard last night. I was not hauling buckets. If I was at that last company and hauling buckets, I would have made $0. We had a pipeline. And sometimes you can't maintain the pipeline, like last year for me. God blessed us so much with products. Oh my gosh, you guys, when Misa was diagnosed, do you know that we had protocols for him, like within 48 hours from doctors from doTERRA, saying this is how you can support your body right now in tandem with all the other things. I can't explain what a blessing doTERRA has been for our family. Products, people, financial, like just amazing. So I don't even know where I am in my notes because I want to make sure I'm like, there's all these things I want to talk about. Okay. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. I talked about all that stuff. So it's not just about me, right? It's about my people. And I started to kind of slowly come back, and Mason's doing better. He's had some graft versus host issues. It's been slower than we would like, but he is really tough, and we are believing, and I cannot wait to get him back on supplements. Sidebar, Mayo Clinic doctors are really cool with oils. No matter how many drugs you're on, supplements, they make you wait. But that's okay, because we got the oils, right? So I'm starting to come back to my business. The first thing I did was go on the trip, right, to Mexico. And I hardly talked to anybody. If you saw me, I was like, I haven't been by myself in 14 months. I don't know what to do. But then I got to, a couple of weeks ago, go to Buffalo. And a little caveat is Teresa, who was one of the partners that I started with, really quickly after we started, her mom was very advanced in age and health was not great. And she started to like permanently care for her mom in her home. And so she took a step back, right? Yeah. And I love Teresa. We call her Mama T. I've known her for over 10 years, right? I mean, we love her so much. She's everybody's mama. And it was fine. And she needed time. And I would call her to be like, I'm so sorry I'm not doing doTERRA. And I'm like, I don't care. How are you, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so in January, her mom passed away, right? Which is hard. If any of you guys have lost a parent or somebody close to you, it's a hard time. It's hard to grieve. But in that, right, we have blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And a blessing for her mom, right? A blessing for, So we have support that we've been able to support with Teresa. And she finally said she was ready to launch her business again.
I said, I need a kick.
And so 2 weeks ago, we went to Buffalo. And Ellie, sidebar with Ellie, I'm sorry, I probably won't go in the weeds, but Ellie signed up the week before we found out Mason got sick. Okay, so she's foundational wellness and all the things and all the blah, 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 all the things. She has stayed consistent all year, enrolled her mom, and that was it. Because did she have support? No. But she is wonderful and loves me and gave me grace. So Ellie and Teresa launched a couple weeks ago. Had Teresa, what do we have?
Oh my gosh, we had 8 enrollments in I think 12 hours.
And what did they buy?
Everything was VMG packages, and some people were double dipping to get all the free stuff. So
Yep. And how many got on LRPs?
all of them.
Everybody on LRPs.
Yeah.
Everybody foundational wellness. You guys, residual income.
Yeah.
It's amazing what we have. And so we had space, right, to handle what we needed to in our families. We had built pipelines, still got income, right? Maybe not growth, but okay. And then you come back when you're ready, and it's still here for you. And you don't have leaders that are like, what are you doing? Why aren't you working? They give you space. doTERRA loves their people, whether they're producing a lot, not producing at all, whether you're a customer, they don't care. They just want to love and support their people. And I, again, cannot say what a blessing this business is, these people. 2 years ago, I had no idea what I would need, but God knew. God knew. God knew. In that call with Amy, which I was like, why would we ever sell oils? I mean, I like use doTERRA and it's good, breathe it on guard, but I mean, and then I was a believer, 1 hour, right? 1 hour. I mean, and it's the best decision.